All right, everyone, another predictable scenario as we start off today talking about Trumpchange. You remember that hip-hop song from the 2016 election? The dude is talking about how he didn't want chump change, he wanted Trump change. You know, the idea being that Donald Trump, of course, is rich as fuck. It was very funny at the time. We're by the way, getting some more hilarious sort of political music right now, floating around about Donald Trump. It's pretty good. It's at least as good as the stuff from 2016 already, and we've only had a few days since he got his mugshot taken, or the smug shot as you could call it. If he did a little bit more facial mugging, it would be the smug shot. He looked more angry than smug in that one. I think it works better, actually. Anyway, Donald Trump has raised over $7 million since Friday when he had his booking and his mugshot taken. A significant proportion of that is probably merch sales with mugs and t-shirts bearing his image on them. I'm probably going to get one as well because I think that would be funny to wear during videos. It tends to drive liberals a little bit crazy. You're wearing the indicted orange blob's face on your shirt. Cultist, Cult 45. It'd be really very funny. But link in the description. Archived, of course, to the write-up about this, one of them. That's not an insignificant amount of money. It's far ahead of what anyone else is fundraising at. The boost probably continues quite a bit for some time because, of course, it's become such a giant meme. And so definitely, on the merch alone, Trump will probably clear $40-50 million, by the end of the year. So at that rate, even though when you release something new, there's always a spike in sales and then it ebbs down to like a long-term norm. Even then, we're talking about a huge cash infusion for his candidacy. The problem is that DeSantis was bragging about I think the post-debate period, he got like $1 million. And supposedly he won the debate and all this stuff. I'll be talking about their hilarious push polling later. Well, 7 million is a lot more than 1 million, Ron, just to be clear. And the super PAC that's going to be putting out a $25 million ad spree in Iowa and New Hampshire no longer looks so formidable. Trump would be wise, by the way, to counter that. It would be a good idea. Aim for the end of this year. Roughly, it'd be a good idea to blunt the effect. At this point, I don't really see Trump as able to lose, per se. With Youngkin sitting it out, Murdoch was stroking him from behind, trying to get him to run. He's flat out refused. He's not going to get in, which means they've defaulted back to simping for Ron DeSantis. The problem is, in the next round of polling, while he might gain a couple of points in the aggregate, it's just not enough. And it's too little too late after you've slid from 31, 32 points, which is definitely viable. You're not in the lead, but you're close enough to about 14 points in the aggregate in polling. And now your opponent, because he's getting all the free attention and has the ultimate mimetic political merch line, will outraise you significantly, therefore potentially outspend you, although he doesn't necessarily have to right away, and sucks the oxygen out of the room, which is why they're trying to re-inject oxygen in the room for Ron DeSantis specifically and the GOP field in general. Did you see how many fluff pieces there were just about the GOP debate? Well, I've looked at statistics online. I know there are damn lies in statistics. I understand that. That's the human side of analysis. I've looked at the differential between overall views and actual interactions, like a la Twitter, for a very long time, because I've been using the internet since, the 2000s, and I've been a content creator since 2007. I like their cope about the GOP debate. Well, they had like 12 million viewers live across network, and the views that are on the Tucker Carlson interview don't count, because those views can just be non-interactions. Somebody saw it scrolling through their timeline, didn't interact with it at all. Yes, but if you look at the number of likes on the Tucker Carlson interview, you can roughly extrapolate the number of actual total views, people who actually tuned in to watch him. And it's significant. And by the way, that plays a role when we talk about the Ron DeSantis PAC push polling. That's one for the ages. It's just so completely straightforwardly nuts and stupid that it actually bears mentioning. Trump raising that much money in such a short period of time gives him by far and away the best week of fundraising for any candidate in the race, more than any of the Dem candidates either. Biden doesn't appear to be fundraising. He appears to have 2 or 3 people working as campaign staff, and really that's it. In other words, he intends to stand on his own merit as a sitting president and do the, well, I'm not going to campaign, I've got too much work to do sort of thing, or that he's expecting to stand aside and not actually be the nominee at all. The latter would be very funny because then the Dems might have to bribe Kamala Harris not to run, since she would lose against Asa Hutchinson, let alone Trump or DeSantis or somebody like that. Trumpchange. It must be good to be able to make that kind of money so quickly, especially when it shows that a significant number of people understand the persecutorial nature of what's going on right now. Even the original indictment from Alvin Bragg was the artificial upgrading of misdemeanors to felonies, which usually works in reverse under his authority there. In order to nail Trump, even that broke 250 years of civic precedent. Now the Fulton County indictment does the same thing by mugshotting him and dragging him through the normal procedural process, irrespective of the fact that he's a former president and currently a political frontrunner for a major political party. People are understanding it's not prosecution, it's persecution. There's a reason it's all happening so suddenly. There's a reason, and the reason that they're doing that is one part fear of Donald Trump, one part fear of the effect if he should get reelected. As I pointed out yesterday on Twitter, part of it isn't they're afraid of him coming in and breaking their toys. They'll put up barriers, obstruct, and do whatever they have to do to limit the damage he can do. What I think they're more afraid of is you and I getting it in mind that we can break the toys. That is, hey, despite the fact that this system is massively persecutorial, massively overbearing, it's like a many-headed hydra, it's possible for an individual to stand against them and actually win and get something accomplished that they don't want done. It breaks the illusion of authority. It breaks the illusion of invulnerability. That's really what they're worried about, because they've spent decades trying to demoralize the public and convince them that they're powerless, and that all they can do is vote for this football team or that football team in perpetuity as their country is slowly denigrated, shackled to globalism, and sold downriver. One individual has stood against that successfully already, a la the 2016 election, and is now looking for a second term. I think that the United States would be completely, utterly, dumbfoundingly stupid not to vote for Donald Trump, if only to tell the system that we don't have any confidence in it. Oh, you're warning us for years and years that Donald Trump is going to do terrible things, and he doesn't do terrible things, so that you have to play up a riot as having somehow been an insurrection caused by him, which no feasible, reasonable person actually believes, despite the fact that things were going just fine against certain honk-honk medical problems occurred actually at the end of his term. And so him raising the money is not necessarily a surprise. I mean, I predicted there'd be a huge surge in his revenue, but that was predictable, because you've got this awesome new merch line. I wonder what proportion of that $7 million is just in smug mugs. That's a lot of cups, by the way. That's about all. Peace out.